B&B spoilers. Electra recruits Remy to do her dirty work. Desperate times call for desperate measure next week on The Bold and the Beautiful. Electra Forrester is no fool, and she knows her relationship with Will Spencer Jr., Crew Morrow, is under attack. She needs help with her homeless Dylan situation ASAP. Is she desperate enough to get help from her former stalker? Here's what's coming up next on Bold and the Beautiful. Spoilers down below. Electra can solve Remy's problems. Electra Forrester knows a guy that can track people across the country. In fact, at one point Remy Price, Christian Weissman, was a professional stalker. Remy swears that he's sorry for the pain he caused his frenemy and would jump at a chance for redemption. Will he do Electra's dirty work so that she will put a good word in with Deke Sharp, Harrison Cohn? Deke Harrison dropped Remy Price like a hot potato when he learned that he had stalked and harassed sweet and innocent Electra Forrester, Linnea Grace. If Electra were willing to reach out to Deke and tell him that Remy is a changed man or she overdramatized his misdeeds, it could go a long way. Meanwhile, Electra needs to dig up some dirt on her new competition. Electra is certain that Dylan is up to no good, and if she can get proof, Will Spencer Jr., Crew Morrow, will kick her out. She should probably start by contacting HR and finding out Dylan's last name on her pay stubs. Remy finds something crazier than Electra expected? Bold and the Beautiful spoilers hint Remy could uncover something disturbing when he starts following Dylan around. The youngsters could actually stumble across a crazy clue about her true identity. Rumors hint Dylan could even be Sheila Carter's long-lost daughter. Do you think that Dylan is intentionally trying to steal Electra Forrester's life? What kind of dirt could Remy and Electra find? Is she desperate enough to strike a deal with her former stalker? In the glittering, high-stakes world of Los Angeles fashion, the air is thick with betrayal and desperate alliances. This week, The Bold and the Beautiful delivers a heartbreaking turn of events that has left the fandom reeling. In a move that few saw coming but many feared, Electra Forrester has finally reached her breaking point. The today very sad news surrounding the Forrester legacy isn't just about a business rivalry. It's about the corruption of a soul. Desperate to protect her future with Will Spencer and rid herself of the encroaching threat of Dylan, Electra has officially crossed over to the dark side. She has recruited the one man who once dismantled her life, the obsessive and dangerous Remy Price. The Descent of a Forrester. Why Electra is playing with fire. For months, Electra Forrester has been the sweetheart of the young adult scene. She arrived in LA with big dreams for her jewelry line and a desire to escape a traumatic past. However, the 2026 landscape of B&B is unforgiving. With the return of R.J. Forrester and the arrival of the enigmatic Dylan, Electra's sense of security has evaporated. The Dylan dilemma. The catalyst for this sad news is Dylan, the former teacher whom Will and Electra rescued from homelessness. While Will sees a woman in need of a second chance, Electra sees a predator. The proximity problem. Dylan is living in the guest house at the beach house. The career threat. Steffi Forrester has just offered Dylan a job at Forrester Creations, placing her in Will's orbit 24/7. The jealousy factor. Electra has caught Dylan eyeing, but with a hunger that goes beyond gratitude. Feeling unheard and sidelined by Will's protective nature toward Dylan, Electra has decided that if she can't win with honesty, she'll win with dirty work. A deal with the devil, recruiting Remy Price. The most shocking part of today's spoilers is the identity of Electra's new enforcer. Remy Price is not just a random thug. He is the man who nearly destroyed Electra with deepfake nudes and a terrifying rooftop confrontation just a year ago. Why Remy? Remy's obsession with Electra is his greatest weakness, and now she's using it as her greatest weapon. By reaching out to the man who stalked her, Electra is engaging in a psychological gambit that usually ends in tragedy on soaps. The recruitment. Electra meets Remy in secret, far from the prying eyes of the Spencer or Forrester clans. The dirty work. She doesn't want Dylan dead, at least not yet. She wants Dylan gone. Electra tasks Remy with digging up or creating dirt on Dylan that is so toxic even the heroic, well, Spencer won't be able to stand the sight of her. The sad reality, to get Remy to agree, Electra has to dangle a carrot. She's leading him to believe that if he clears the path for her happiness, there might be a place for him in her world. It is a lie that will almost certainly backfire. The fallout, a family divided. This storyline is being hailed as very sad news because it signals the end of Electra's innocence. She is no longer the victim of the story. She is becoming a villain in the making. Will Spencer, the unsuspecting hero. Poor Will is caught in the middle. He thinks he's doing the right thing by helping Dylan, unaware that his own girlfriend is conspiring with a criminal. If and when Will finds out that Electra has brought a known stalker back into their lives, the heartbreak will be irreparable. The Forrester legacy. Eric and Ridge have always prided themselves on the Forrester name, standing for elegance. Seeing a young Forrester resort to the same tactics as Sheila Carter or a desperate Luna Nozoa is a bitter pill for fans to swallow. What's next? A dangerous game of shadows. As we look toward the next 2 weeks, January 14th to 23rd, 2026, the tension is set to explode. RJ's discovery. Will RJ's perfect gentleman routine lead him to uncover Electra's secret meetings? Dylan's counter-move. Dylan isn't as innocent as she looks. If she realizes Electra is targeting her, she may strike back before Remy can even get started. The breaking point, a confrontation at Forrester Creations is looming, and with Remy back in the picture, someone is bound to get hurt. Soap insider tip. Watch closely for the scenes between Electra and Remy. The chemistry is unsettling, and it's clear that Remy hasn't lost his "if I can't have her, no one can" mentality. Electra thinks she's the one in control, but on The Bold and the Beautiful, the puppet usually ends up being strangled by the strings. The fallout, a family divided. This storyline is being hailed as very sad news because it signals the end of Electra's innocence. She is no longer the victim of the story. She is becoming a villain in the making. Will Spencer, the unsuspecting hero. Poor Will is caught in the middle. He thinks he's doing the right thing by helping Dylan, unaware that his own girlfriend is conspiring with a criminal. If and when Will finds out that Electra has brought a known stalker back into their lives, the heartbreak will be irreparable. The Forrester legacy. Eric and Ridge have always prided themselves on the Forrester name, standing for elegance. Seeing a young Forrester resort to the same tactics as Sheila Carter or a desperate Luna Nozoa is a bitter pill for fans to swallow. What's next? A dangerous game of shadows. As we look toward the next 2 weeks, January 14th to 23rd, 2026, the tension is set to explode. RJ's discovery. Will RJ's perfect gentleman routine lead him to uncover Electra's secret meetings? Dylan's counter-move. Dylan isn't as innocent as she looks. If she realizes Electra is targeting and the beautiful spoilers deliver a devastating emotional blow as secrets, manipulation, and betrayal collide in a storyline that leaves fans stunned and hearts heavy. What begins as quiet desperation spirals into something far darker when Electra, pushed to the edge by heartbreak and fear, makes a choice she can never take back. In a shocking turn, she recruits Remy to do her dirty work, setting off a chain reaction that threatens to destroy lives, relationships, and any chance of redemption. This isn't just another scheming subplot. This is a tragic descent, one born of love gone wrong, trust shattered, and a woman who believes she has no other option left. Electra's breaking point, when pain turns dangerous. Electra has always walked a fragile line between vulnerability and strength. She's endured judgment, abandonment, and the constant feeling that she's disposable in a world dominated by powerful names and ruthless ambition. Lately, however, the pressure has become unbearable. Someone knows her secret, or is dangerously close to uncovering it. Whether it's a past mistake, a hidden alliance, or a truth that could ruin everything she's fought to rebuild, Electra becomes convinced that exposure is imminent. Every conversation feels like a threat. Every glance feels accusatory. Sleep escapes her. Anxiety consumes her. And in that fear-filled space, Electra does something unthinkable. She turns to Remy. Why Remy? A calculated and heartbreaking choice. Remy isn't Electra's closest friend. He isn't family. He's something far more dangerous. A man with nothing to lose. Remy has his own scars, his own grudges against the elite world of Los Angeles privilege. He's felt used, dismissed, and underestimated. And Electra knows this. She knows how to push the right buttons, how to frame her request, not as manipulation, but as survival. At first, Electra doesn't ask outright. She hints. She vents. She shares just enough truth to pull Remy into her orbit. She paints herself as the victim of powerful people who will crush her if given the chance. And Remy listens. When Electra finally makes her move, it's chilling in its simplicity. She needs someone else to do what she can't. Dirty work defined. Lies, sabotage, and ruin. Electra doesn't ask Remy to kill anyone. But what she asks for may be just as destructive. She wants him to plant doubt, spread misinformation, and sabotage key relationships. She wants reputation stained just enough to discredit the person threatening her. A whisper here, a staged moment there, a lie wrapped in just enough truth to seem believable. Remy hesitates briefly, but when Electra breaks down, tears streaming, voice shaking as she talks about losing everything, something inside him snaps. He sees his chance not just to help her, but to finally strike back at a system that's always kept him on the outside. And so Remy agrees. That's the moment everything changes. The first casualty, trust. Almost immediately the fallout begins. Conversations feel off. People who once stood united suddenly question each other's motives. A relationship, possibly romantic, possibly familial, starts to fracture under the weight of carefully planted doubt. No one realizes Electra is behind it. She watches from the sidelines as Remy executes her plan with frightening efficiency. And at first she feels relief. The threat seems to fade. The heat shifts away from her. But relief doesn't last long. Because every lie Remy tells, every seed of chaos he plants, chips away at Electra's soul. Remy's descent, when power becomes addictive. Here's where the story takes an even darker turn. What begins as a favor becomes something else entirely. Remy likes the power. He likes how easy it is to manipulate people who never saw him as a threat. He likes watching the mighty stumble. And slowly, dangerously, he starts to go beyond what Electra asked. A rumor spreads too far. A confrontation becomes public. A secret that wasn't supposed to surface suddenly explodes into the open. Electra realizes she's losing control of the monster she helped create. And Remy? He reminds her of a brutal truth. She started this. Guilt, fear, and the weight of consequences. Electra is haunted. She watches people she once cared about suffer. Unaware, she's the architect of their pain. Sleepless nights return, worse than before. The guilt eats at her, but fear keeps her silent. If she confesses, she loses everything. If she doesn't, someone else might lose even more. This is the tragedy at the heart of today's bold and the beautiful spoilers. Electra isn't evil, but she's made an unforgivable choice. And the consequences are no longer theoretical. They're real. They're happening now. The ticking time bomb. How long until the truth explodes? As Remy grows bolder and Electra grows more desperate, the risk of exposure skyrockets. Someone is starting to notice patterns. Someone is asking the wrong questions. Someone may already suspect Remy isn't acting alone. And when that truth comes out, and it will, the fallout won't just hit Electra. It will devastate everyone caught in the crossfire. Careers could be destroyed. Families torn apart. And Electra may find herself completely alone, rejected by the very people she was trying to protect herself from. A tragic irony, the thing she feared most. The cruelest part of this story? Electra's greatest fear was losing everything. And by recruiting Remy to do her dirty work, she may have guaranteed exactly that outcome. What makes this storyline so painfully compelling is its realism. Desperation doesn't always look like villainy. Sometimes it looks like a woman backed into a corner, making the worst choice of her life because she believes it's the only way to survive. But Bold and the Beautiful reminds us, once again, that secrets always come out and borrowed darkness always demands repayment. What's next on B&B? Fans should brace themselves for emotional devastation in the days ahead. If she confesses, she loses everything. If she doesn't, someone else might lose even more. This is the tragedy at the heart of today's Bold and the Beautiful spoilers. Electra isn't evil, but she's made an unforgivable choice. And the consequences are no longer theoretical. They're real. They're happening now. The ticking time bomb. How long until the truth explodes? As Remy grows bolder and Electra grows more desperate, the risk of exposure skyrockets. Someone is starting to notice patterns. Someone is asking the wrong questions. Someone may already suspect Remy isn't acting alone. And when that truth comes out, and it will, the fallout won't just hit Electra. It will devastate everyone caught in the crossfire. Careers could be destroyed. Families torn apart. And Electra may find herself completely alone, rejected by the very people she was trying to protect herself from. A tragic irony, the thing she feared most. The cruelest part of this story? Electra's greatest fear was losing everything. And by recruiting Remy to do her dirty work, she may have guaranteed exactly that outcome. What makes this storyline so painfully compelling is its realism. Desperation doesn't always look like villainy. Sometimes it looks like a woman backed into a corner, making the worst choice of her life because she believes it's the only way to survive. But Bold and the Beautiful reminds us, once again, that secrets always come out and borrowed darkness always demands repayment. What's next on B&B? Fans should brace themselves for emotional devastation in the days ahead. Glittering world of Los Angeles fashion and legacy. The lines between love, obsession, and redemption have never been thinner. Today, fans of the Bold and the Beautiful are reeling from a wave of very sad news that has sent shockwaves through the Spencer and Forrester dynasties. While the tragedy surrounding Electra Forrester and Remy Price feels like a final curtain call for some, others are beginning to see a bittersweet silver lining. The idea that Electra, despite her immense suffering, might be the only person who can truly solve Remy's fractured life. This is not just a story of a stalker and his victim. It is a complex tapestry of mental health, deep fake trauma, and the heavy burden of the Forrester name. The heartbreaking backdrop. Why today is very sad. To understand why the latest updates are so devastating, we have to look at the wreckage Remy Price left in his wake. For months, Electra Forrester, the talented, bright-eyed newcomer, was hunted by a ghost from her past. The tragedy of trust, the sad news hitting headlines today centers on the revelation of how deep the scars actually go. Electra didn't just lose her sense of safety. She nearly lost her career. After the release of malicious, deepfake photos, meticulously crafted by Remy to isolate her, Electra faced the ultimate humiliation, being fired from the very family empire she was born to help lead. Seeing a young woman's dreams dismantled by a friend who claimed to love her is a bitter pill for the audience to swallow. The sadness stems from the realization that even in a world of private jets and couture, a woman's reputation can be shattered by a single click of a button. Who is Remy Price? A problem that needs solving. Remy isn't a traditional villain. He is a man caught in a spiral of delusion, recently revealed to be struggling with his own identity and a desperate need for belonging. Remy's mounting problems. Legal jeopardy. Following the rooftop confrontation with Will Spencer, Remy faces serious criminal charges for stalking and harassment. Social isolation. Having betrayed the only person who truly cared for him, Remy is now an outcast in Los Angeles. Identity crisis. His recent relationship with Deke Sharp suggested a path toward honesty, but his obsession with Electra proves that his internal glitch hasn't been fixed. The shadow of Luna. With the villainous Luna Nozawa lurking in the wings, Remy is at risk of being manipulated into a much darker, more permanent kind of evil. How Electra can solve Remy. It sounds counterintuitive. Why should the victim solve the problems of the victimizer? However, in the logic of daytime drama and the ethics of radical empathy, Electra holds the keys to Remy's prison, both literal and metaphorical. 1. The power of forgiveness as a catalyst. Remy's primary problem is his belief that he is unlovable unless he controls the object of his affection. If Electra chooses a path of restorative justice rather than pure vengeance, she breaks the cycle. By acknowledging his mental instability rather than just his criminality, she could advocate for the psychiatric help he clearly needs. Solving Remy's problem isn't about making him happy, it's about making him whole. 2. De-escalating the Luna threat. We know that Luna Nozawa is looking for an ally. She wants to use Remy as a pawn to destroy Will Spencer. If Electra reaches out to Remy, even through a glass partition in a visiting room, she could prevent a lethal alliance. Electra has the Forrester grace by showing Remy that his actions didn't just hurt her, but also destroyed his own potential. She might be the only voice he actually hears. 3. Solving the deep fake nightmare. The technical problems Remy created can only be solved if he cooperates. To fully clear Electra's name at Forrester Creations, the digital trail needs to be decrypted. If Electra can convince Remy to take accountability, he could provide the evidence needed to restore her professional standing. In this way, solving his moral crisis solves her professional one. The Will Spencer factor, a hero's burden. We cannot talk about this sad news without mentioning Will Spencer. Will has stepped up as the knight in shining armor, but his solution is physical. A punch to the nose, rooftop chase, a call to the police. While necessary, Will's Spencer brand of justice doesn't solve the underlying rot in Remy's mind. The sadness today lies in the friction between Will and Electra. Will wants Remy gone forever. Electra, perhaps seeing the broken boy she once knew in Dallas, might want him healed. This creates a rift in the show's most promising young romance. A community divided, fan reactions. The engagement on social media regarding this storyline has reached a fever pitch. The very sad news has split the fandom into two distinct camps. Team Lock Him Up, Team Redemption argues that Remy's actions, deepfake stalking, are unforgivable, believes Remy is a victim of his own mental health and deserves a chance to change. Wants to see Electra move on with Will Spencer immediately. Interested in the complex Thomas Forrester-style redemption arc, sees any interaction between Electra and Remy as trauma bonding. Sees Electra's potential mercy as the ultimate sign of her strength. What happens next? The road to recovery. As we process today's news, the question remains, can a villain ever truly be solved? If Electra follows the path of her Forrester ancestors, she will realize that the greatest way to defeat an enemy is to turn them into a person who no longer wishes to fight. However, the cost to her own heart might be too high. The stakes for the coming week. The courtroom showdown. Will Electra testify against Remy, or will she plead for leniency in exchange for the truth about the deep fakes? The Forrester board meeting. Can Brooke and Katie look past the scandal and reinstate Electra? Or is the sad news of her firing permanent? The Luna interference. Will Luna reach Remy before Electra can? If so, the solution to Remy's problems might be a deal with the devil. Final thoughts. The beauty in the sadness. The news today is sad because it reminds us that love can be distorted into something unrecognizable. It's sad because Electra, a character who represents hope and fresh starts, has been forced to grow up far too fast. But if Electra can solve Remy, she achieves something far greater than just surviving a stalker. She proves that the Forrester legacy isn't just about fashion and wealth. It's about the strength to face the darkness and demand the bold and the beautiful. Hope often arrives hand in hand with devastation. Just when one character seems to find a lifeline, Another quietly loses their footing. Today's very sad news centers on Electra and Remy, two souls standing at a crossroads where salvation and sacrifice blur into something painfully complicated. Yes, Electra can solve Remy's problems, but the question haunting fans tonight is whether the price of that solution will shatter them both. From the outside, it looks simple. Remy is cornered, financial pressure tightening, secrets threatening to surface, and the weight of past mistakes pressing down harder by the day. Electra, resourceful and fiercely intelligent, appears to hold the key. She has the access, the influence, and the emotional leverage to make the impossible possible. But in true BNB fashion, nothing comes without consequences, and this time, the fallout could be devastating. Remy's world is crumbling. Remy has never been a stranger to struggle, but lately, the ground beneath him has been giving way at an alarming pace. His problems aren't just financial or professional, they're deeply personal. Guilt gnaws at him. Regret shadows his every move. He's been trying to hold it together, to present strength where there is none. But the cracks are impossible to hide now. What makes Remy's situation especially tragic is that he didn't arrive here overnight. A series of small compromises, half-truths, and desperate decisions led him to this point. Each choice felt survivable in the moment. Together, they've become a trap. And now the walls are closing in. Friends have noticed the change. The sleepless nights, the short temper, the haunted look in his eyes. Remy knows he needs help, but asking for it would mean admitting failure. That's where Electra comes in, offering a way out without forcing him to confess everything, at least not yet. Electra's offer, a lifeline wrapped in silence. Electra has always been a force, sharp, perceptive, and emotionally tuned in. She sees what others miss, and right now, she sees Remy unraveling. When she realizes she can fix his problems, her instinct is immediate. Act first, ask questions later. It's who she is. She knows the right people. She understands how the system works. Whether it's smoothing over a professional disaster, making a damaging issue disappear, or pulling strings behind closed doors, Electra has the power to intervene. And she's willing to use it. But here's the heartbreak. Electra's solution requires silence. It demands discretion, secrecy, and a willingness to let the truth remain buried. In helping Remy, she risks becoming complicit in the very problems that destroyed him in the first place. For Electra, this isn't just about fixing a mess. It's about protecting someone she cares about deeply. And that emotional attachment is precisely what makes the situation so dangerous. Love, loyalty, and the weight of sacrifice. Electra's feelings for Remy complicate everything. Whether it's love, loyalty, or something fragile and unspoken between them, her heart is fully invested. She believes that if she can just remove the obstacles in his path, Remy will finally be able to breathe again. Heal. Start over. But what if that belief is wrong? By stepping in, Electra may be delaying the reckoning Remy needs. She may be saving him from immediate ruin while pushing him closer to a far more devastating collapse down the line. And the saddest part? She knows it. Somewhere deep down, Electra understands that her solution is temporary, and that truth keeps her awake at night. The burden she carries grows heavier with every secret she keeps, every favor she calls in, every line she crosses. Just this once. Electra is sacrificing pieces of herself to protect Remy, and fans can't help but wonder how much of her will be left when this is over. Remy's pride stands in the way. As much as Remy needs help, accepting it doesn't come easily. His pride fights him at every turn. He doesn't want to be rescued, especially not by Electra. The idea that she can fix what he broke is humiliating in ways he can barely articulate. And yet, desperation has a way of eroding pride. When Electra lays out her plan, Remy listens. He resists. He argues. But ultimately, he realizes he has no better option. That realization is crushing. Agreeing to Electra's help means admitting he's lost control. It means trusting someone else with his fate. And worst of all, it means living with the knowledge that if the truth ever comes out, Electra will fall with him. The silence between them speaks volumes. Once Electra steps in, things start to change on the surface. Problems are smoothed over. Pressure eases. The immediate crisis appears to pass. To outsiders, it looks like Remy caught a lucky break. But between Electra and Remy, a quiet distance forms. Their conversations become careful. Words are chosen, not felt. There's gratitude, but also resentment. Relief, mixed with shame. The unspoken understanding that they're now bound by secrets neither of them can afford to expose. That silence is heavy. It fills rooms. It lingers in stolen glances and unfinished sentences, and it signals something deeply sad. The solution Electra provided may have saved Remy's life, but it's slowly killing whatever purity once existed between them. The risk of exposure looms large. In the bold and the beautiful, secrets never stay buried forever. Fans know this. Characters know this. And Electra knows this better than anyone. Every move she makes increases the risk of exposure. All it takes is one loose end, one curious question, one person connecting the dots. If the truth comes out, the consequences won't just be professional. They'll be deeply personal and potentially catastrophic. Electra could lose everything she's worked for. Her reputation, her relationships, her sense of self. And Remy would have to live with the knowledge that she destroyed herself trying to save him. That looming danger casts a shadow over every moment of relief they experience. Happiness feels borrowed, peace feels temporary, and tragedy feels inevitable. Is this really a solution or just a delay? The most heartbreaking question fans are asking tonight is this: did Electra truly solve Remy's problems, or did she simply postpone the pain? Remy's core issues remain unresolved. His guilt is still there. His fear hasn't disappeared. And without facing the consequences of his actions, he may never find real redemption. Electra's intervention buys time, but time alone doesn't heal wounds. For Electra, the realization is dawning slowly and painfully. She wanted to help. She wanted to protect. But in doing so, she may have trapped them both in a cycle of dependency and secrecy that ends in heartbreak. A tragic turning point. Today's very sad news isn't just that Electra can solve Remy's problems. It's that doing so might cost her everything. This storyline marks a turning point for both characters, one that promises emotional fallout, shattered trust, and irreversible consequences. Fans are bracing for what comes next. Will Remy finally take responsibility for his actions? Will Electra realize that saving someone doesn't always mean sacrificing yourself? Or will the truth explode in a way that destroys them both? One thing is certain. The solution Electra provided has changed the course of their lives forever. And as the silence deepens and the secrets grow heavier, the heartbreak is only just beginning.